Coming up on today's show, we are going to discuss the latest on Jalen Ramsey and the Cowboys amid a major report from ESPN that the Cowboys are interested and some conflicting reports that maybe the Cowboys aren't. And then he bought a house in Fort Worth. We'll break it all down and what to believe, what to think on this one. Before we get into the latest on Ramsey, we are 80 subs away from 216,000 subscribers here on the Cowboys Report. First off, you guys are awesome. Second off, I know there's at least 80 of you watching today's show who are not subbed. Change that. Hit the sub button for me right now. The Jalen Ramsey trade rumors are back, thanks in large part to a major report from ESPN's Jeremy Fowler saying he thinks the Cowboys are a team to monitor for Ramsey. Here's what Fowler reported. I have the Dallas Cowboys on my radar because they've pulled off 3 trades this offseason. Now they're more for players that are young and on rookie deals. They need a cornerback. And when I check with the team about pulling off a 4th, they didn't shut me down. So we'll see. Cowboys actually already at 4 trades. Joe Milton, Kaiir Elam, Kenneth Murray, and this guy named George Pickens. So they're actually already at 4 trades, which actually is a big red flag for me when your reporting doesn't have factual information on it. I think there are actually very significant problems with a Jalen Ramsey trade, specifically for the Cowboys side of things. That is including, but not limited to, Dallas's own interest level. There are already conflicting reports from other, probably more connected Cowboys reporters about Dallas's interest in Jalen Ramsey, which we will get into here in a little bit because that's kind of a key factor in this. So, before we get to that, do you want to trade for Jalen Ramsey? We'll break down the feasibility, the probably not that expensive cost from a draft pick perspective. Do you want to trade for Ramsey? Y for yes, N for no. It is the pinned comment on today's video. So, head to that spot, type in Y for yes, N for no. Okay, so there are additional conflicting reports about the Cowboys' interest level in Jalen Ramsey. And there's also one, I'll call it tangential report, which I think that's a word, right? That's a word? I don't know. Landon Holyfield reporting that he can confirm Jalen Ramsey bought a house in Fort Worth within the last couple weeks. Doesn't know who the house is for or if the Cowboys are seriously considering trading for him. I do appreciate the inclusion of, trying to separate it from, it means the Cowboys are interested. Because I would not actually read anything into this. There are a lot of players that live in the DFW area. Derrick Henry, who obviously wanted to play for Dallas. Amari Cooper, lots of ex-Cowboys players. A lot of people, DeAndre Hopkins lived in Dallas, or trained in Dallas. There's a really good training general area group in the greater DFW area. You've got great weather pretty much year-round. The taxes are super in your favor. All of that adds up to this is where players want to live. It's kind of like you're going to live in your city where you're playing, DFW, Florida, LA, you're going to live in those areas because that's more fun than living in, respectfully, Cincinnati in the summer. It's not as good of a place to live overall. And also, no one ever buys a house before a trade /line. That's not how it works. It's not. So, file it away as a note, but I wouldn't, and not that Landon is either, and I appreciate that. Wouldn't read too much into it. Now, Ed Werder, kind of on a quote tweeting the clip of Jeremy Fowler talking, says, I do not believe this has ever been a topic of conversation, meaning a Jalen Ramsey trade, within the Cowboys at this time. Which I think has been at this time is a bit repetitive, but whatever. Ed Werder saying, nope, not going to happen. Bryan Broaddus earlier this morning saying, hearing late last night, that the Jalen Ramsey news was not accurate, according to a couple of folks I got to talk to. Don't think I was getting steered the wrong way. So I would assume that's about the Fowler report, not the House report, because the Fowler report is far more impactful there. All of that would indicate, it's not going to happen. It's not going to be the case that the Cowboys end up pursuing here. I have a theory as to why the Dallas Cowboys were specifically mentioned as a potential Jalen Ramsey trade. Before we get to that, today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. It is the best place to turn your sports knowledge into cash. With millions of members, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. Cash in on the basketball playoffs with Prize Picks. Don't miss one of your last chances to add your favorite players from the court to your Prize Picks lineups. Whether it's points, boards, assists, rebounds, whatever. Take your pick of more or less to win up to 2,000 times your cash today. I guess points or boards and rebounds are the same thing. Whatever. You can also do season-long football Prize Picks slates. I got CeeDee Lamb more than 7.5 TDs, Breece Hall less than yards on the ground, and Dak Prescott more than passing TDs. So download the Prize Picks app today over at prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS over at prizepicks.com/CLNS. As part of his report linking the Cowboys to Jalen Ramsey, Jeremy Fowler also mentioned that the money is an issue for Jalen Ramsey. And that's what makes me think the overall connection between Ramsey and the Cowboys is leverage. Fowler didn't actually have much to click on, so I don't think it was clickbait from Fowler. I think this was more of the Dolphins leaked the Cowboys' interest, in air quotes, on Jalen Ramsey, to help them get some more trade traction going. I think there are teams interested in Ramsey, but maybe not at the offers the Dolphins would prefer because of the way the contract is set up. And we've seen this happen time and time again. Cowboys get linked to a player they may or may not have real interest in an effort to get other teams to increase their own offers and interest level. And doesn't that pass the smell test? Doesn't that pass the smell test and the Cowboys going after an extremely expensive player, which is a move they don't really make anymore? Even though they've been far more trade happy this season, they haven't been as aggressive in terms of the expensive players. So we'll go in depth on the contract, which I think is a huge issue for Dallas, by the way. What is the percent chance the Cowboys trade for Jalen Ramsey? Let me know in the comments of today's show. I do think we need to temper our hopes, our expectations, our dreams of Ramsey in Dallas. And the contract is a massive reason why. The Dolphins right now have $14 million in salary cap space. Ramsey's counting 16 and change on that figure. If they trade him before June 1st, they lose $12 million. That is why, especially since we're days away from June 1st, a pre-June 1st trade is just not going to happen. After June 1st, they save $5 million. They eat a lot more dead money in 2026, but that's how it goes. The cash is what matters here. And the Cowboys, despite what they might try to tell you, do know how to manipulate cash versus cap. The Ramsey contract, if traded, breaks down as such. He's due 21 and change this year, 21 next year, 21 and change in 2027, $24 million in 2028. He becomes a free agent in 2029. There is, differences in the cap hits. The cap hit's actually significantly lower because most of the 2021 salary is in roster bonuses, so that's spread out over 5 years. But you're committing 1 year 21, 2 years 42 in cash if you keep him. To put that in perspective, Ramsey would make $21.1 million from the Cowboys, barring Miami eating some of the money. That could always be in play too. The other 4 trades that the Cowboys made, Pickens, Murray, Elam, Joe Milton, they're making less than $15 million in cash this season. That's a massive difference for a team that wants to pay Micah and Tyler Smith, etc. Ramsey's an awesome corner. Don't get me wrong. This is if Ramsey somehow got cut, I think this would be a very different conversation. I don't see him getting cut. It's even less savings at that point for the Miami Dolphins because there are some guarantees with the base salary this upcoming season. Ramsey is what the Cowboys need at corner, but I don't think he's a great fit for just what they have at the moment. I don't think it fits from a money perspective. Wouldn't totally rule out another trade, which we'll come back to here in a second. But will the Cowboys make one? 1 for yes, 0 for no. In the end, I do think Jalen Ramsey gets dealt. I think it makes sense. I think the Dolphins, they've said they're going to trade him. That would surprise nobody. I do think Dallas could make another move. They could explore defensive tackle, a corner, a running back, depending on how things look in training camp, most notably. I won't get my hopes up that the other Cowboys move to potentially make is the Jalen Ramsey trade. I think those end up being too separate things. I do think corner's an area to monitor. I think Jalen Ramsey would be a great fit anywhere he goes, right? I have real expectations with him ending up with Dallas in some capacity. So, again, hate being downer Tom here, but there's a Downey pun to make there too. It's better if I were smarter. I just don't think it's going to happen.